Who else we got? How's our time, Scott? We're getting there. Anybody else?
Right here.
All right. I got you.
I'm with Omni Media. We're covering for the World Trade Center.
Okay, I'll watch this question then.
What business sectors, in your opinion, what business sectors do you see being strong, expanding players in these challenging ever-changing economic times, creating jobs and a positive impact, economic impact?
I get that question a lot. First of all, no, I think it's a very good question because it's ever-changing. First of all, I think the pharmaceuticals and healthcare people are going, and I'll say a word about healthcare after this, are going to have a lot of serious business. It's all about demographics. I think the energy people and the innovation that's going on in energy are going to do very well, and some of that's in green energy. You're going to see people getting into that business, although most of it's is subsidized by the government. I think construction will pick up because of all of the money that the stimulus program is putting into infrastructure. I think you will find the finance guys doing better as they get stabilized. The big thing are small companies. We got 25, 26 million of them. The other day we had our big annual deal with the awards we give small companies. And I stood up on a stage like this while 30 of them came up to get their award from all over the country. And I had, like 20 seconds with each one of them. And I said, well, congratulations. How's your business? Now, remember, these are all the award winners. And these small companies, business great. What do you mean business great? Well, you gotta be flexible. You got to move in this market and that market, but business great. And I listened to those guys, and I went away, and I reminded myself again and again what I tell people all over the world when they ask us, how do we do it? I said 25 million small companies. They don't pay any attention to government. They go out and they're inventing a new product. They're hiring new people. They're borrowing money from their brother-in-law, and they fall flat in their face and fail, and they get up and go borrow money from the other brother-in-law and get going again. And this is America. That's where all the new jobs are coming from. But I think you can find a lot of places that this country's doing well. Now to the healthcare deal. Just to say one thing about that, we've done all the stimulus. We're working on the environmental thing. There will be a bill eventually, about 15 committees from now, but it'll be a workable thing. It's not going to be what they started out with. Now we're going to have the big healthcare debate, and that's going to be very, very interesting. I told our team the other day, I said, when are we going to tell the American people the truth about health care? What do you mean? We always tell the truth. And I said, yeah, well, I mean, you have to give them some more truth. And the more truth is, there are things we have to do as a nation about health care, but understand that when we do them, while we might reduce the per capita health care cost, we're not going to reduce the end-to-end health care cost in America. It's $2.3 trillion now. It's going to be more later, and I don't care what they do, with one exception. And here's why. First of all, our population, 350 million, something like that if you count illegals, and it's on its way to 400 million in a hurry. And we're going to take 45 or 50 million people who get health care, but they're not covered for all different reasons. A third of them are covered. All you do is sign them up. The programs are already there. But when we add 50 million more people to the rolls, and then you see the aging process in this country, people living for bloody forever, I like that. But the deal is that's going to drive your cost with one exception, unless you want to be like Canada and limit care. And I don't think America's ready to limit care. We can do a lot of things to improve health care, to create jobs, to lower per capita costs, to provide more wellness, and do a lot of things. And all of that are places you're going to create jobs and you're going to do a lot of smart things. One more? Yeah, way in the back. Don't let him have the mic. Hang on to it.
Hi, my name is Juan Manuel Ruiz, and I'm the president of the Latin American Chamber of Commerce. Thank you. There is no surprise, I guess, for a lot of people that the Latin American Chamber of Commerce and many of these organizations are trying to help small businesses to get ahead. The problem is a lot of the businesses we're helping are in the very low tech. Now, this is a population that is growing. while there's other populations or other ethnicities that are also growing, but they are always in the very low-tech, very not as sophisticated industries. How can the U.S. Chamber of Commerce help diversity chambers to help all of these communities and ethnicities become more into the technology and the communication industries?
I'm going to tell you a little story first, and I'm going to answer your question. I was driving along a couple of weeks ago with our youngest son. He's got 2 children, 1 on the way. He's very successful. He's a lawyer. He's got an MBA. And a guy drove in front of us on a bicycle, and he was delivering pizza. And he was a Hispanic, Latin American of some origin. And my son just made a comment that's hit at me in a big way. He said, "Dad, that guy's working like crazy. He'll be driving a car with them next week. His kid's going to graduate from high school. Maybe his youngest child will graduate from college. And his grandchildren are going to be working in jobs like I have." And that's the fundamental reality of this country. That's what happens when you don't have a caste system. And so if you go back over the history of this country and when immigrants from various places around the world came here, they came here and some of them brought crafts and trade, and others of them started at the bottom rung and moved very, very quickly to move up those rungs. And to get into jobs at the time would have been the equivalent of technology. The fundamental issue, though, to get those people that you're talking about into the next level is education. And this country, who has always had a great public school education, has let that slip. And we as a nation we do one part of it very, very well. People of means, people in the right communities get very, very good public education. There are a lot of people where we've let this slip, and we're not providing the leg up that we always did. If you can't read, if you can't write, if you can't count, if you can't calculate, and if you can't understand the people around who you're working with at a primary level and in through high school, you can't compete. The big issue in the people out in the automobile states and all those places that are so upset about their children is because there's great manufacturing jobs, but they're high-tech manufacturing jobs, and you have to be able to do algebra. And they're going to be great service jobs, but they're high-tech service jobs, and you're going to have to be able to use computers. And we have a fundamental responsibility to understand where the workers of tomorrow are coming from. And they are people, as we all were, from other lands, and they're first generations. And we need to assure people that have been here and that come here that they get an education so they get an equal shot. And once they have that, then it's everybody for themselves in a competitive economy and everybody together for the society in which we live. And if we don't get straight on that, we're going to pay a horrific price. And let me throw one more thing into the mix before I sit down. George Bush tried legitimately, and this president, Obama, is going to try again. We need a fundamental, careful look at our immigration policy, particularly our relationships with Mexico. There are probably 10 or 12 million illegal people here, and if we ever send them home, this economy is going to close. We need a guest worker program. We need to bring in the H-1B guys to get the technical people we need that we're not training enough of. And if we don't do that, we're going to make a huge problem for ourselves. The final sentence, if you don't think about anything else I said, everything in this country is going to be driven by demographics. Thank you very much.